Yeah.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the next episode of The Space Between. As usual, we have Erin here, we have Steve here, and we have me, Pete, here as well. Guys, how you doing today? Okay?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Erin,
Yeah.
all things good?
Yep.
Up in Buffalo, New York.
Okay,
Uh,
man.
things are
Hmm.
great. Things are great in Ireland. The sun is out, and the Irish are losing their minds because this weird thing in the sky is kind of appearing much more often than it used to, which is nice. Um, so yeah, so let's just have a chat this week, guys. It's been a while, and as usual, lots and lots of things going on. Um, I know. I'll just kick this off with nothing huge, but there's things going on right now. Like we're trying to sell a house, and the buyers have noticed their engineers found a problem with the roof, and so that's a problem, and they're threatening to pull out now because they don't feel good about the house anymore. So the house we're buying is they're gonna not feel good about it because we're in a chain. Their car broke down and we can't find how to resolve the problem with the car. Anyway, there's things like this happening, right? Um, and I just think back to, I don't know, maybe even just as little as a year ago, where these things like this would happen, and for me, they would so occupy my mind so much, and I would feel like the world is against me, It's like, oh, that's happening, and now this is happening, and what's going to happen next? And I'd very quickly fall into kind of like a victim mentality, like the world is being unfair to me, and I'd get annoyed about that. I'd resist it. And I just felt this time round, I can only describe it as kind of it's almost like I don't know, it's like water flowing off kind of thing. It just felt like it's not worth getting worked up about it. Um, that like I don't know what came to mind because coincidentally I saw this thing on one of the social platforms when it was words to the effect of like, hey, at the end of the day, life is like a game. We're here just to play in this little sandbox. That's what we're here to do. And sometimes the game is fun, sometimes it's not fun, but it's never massively serious, you know? And and I'd heard that before, but it's only recently, the past few weeks that I've compared it to like how I used to react and how I do now. And that rings really true for me that, when things are going, especially when things are not going the way you want them to, but even when they are, it's just a game. And we're all like, it's a virtual reality game, right? We all have our little headsets on and we all experience it a slightly different way because we're all very different people. But it is a headset, I think, and it is something that, when you're a kid and you play these games, it's really fun, right? And you use your imagination and it's enjoyable. And you may scrape your knee and cry on the playground, and then within 5 minutes you're great again, right? And everything's going, you're back to playing again. And then as we grow older, we kind of lose that kind of life as a game mentality. Like at 5 or 6 years old, it starts to society kicks in, and then we start to have expectations and things change. But really, it doesn't change. It is still that game. It is still that playground. It's just, instead of swings and slides, it's mortgages and cars, So I don't know, guys. I just wanted to share that with you because it was really interesting that I'm almost feeling like, why don't I feel more annoyed about this? Why don't I feel more upset about this? And it's like, because I just don't. I just don't need to. Anyway, I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but that was an interesting experience this week for me.
It is interesting because it is some very real world practical examples of
Yeah.
how you handle situations differently now. And I'm sure that'll resonate with a lot of different people. And it kind of connects with some reflections I've been having recently about my personal development journey. Um, I learned something 20 plus years ago that changed my life initially. Um, I was able to implement it, enjoyed it, but it wasn't complete. I ended up heading for a really stressful situation involving the job that I was in at the time, and ended up changing careers because of that. And it wasn't until I think it was 2019 when I first discovered the understanding that we've been doing the course about. And I was reflecting on that part of my journey recently as well. And there was something about the timeline that didn't make sense, because this new understanding that we've been learning about, I'd been introduced to it in 2019. Later that year, and just before the COVID lockdowns, I recognized I was heading for a similar stressful situation again, where I'd lost the love for the job and everything seemed to be piling on top. And I didn't kind of understand why, because I'd found this new understanding that at the time I found it, I thought, that's it. That's the complete solution to all of this. But it didn't happen. And it's only recently that I've realized, when I found a new understanding, I started reading about it, and I started treating it as accumulating more knowledge. I was just trying to find out more. I wanted to understand it more. Give me more, give me more, give me the books, give me the courses, whatever. And now I realize that that's all I was doing with it. I was accumulating that knowledge, but knowledge on its own is worthless. If you do nothing with that knowledge, you've got to implement it. You've got to live it. And that's the difference that I'm feeling now, is I'm actually living with that understanding. And as you said, stressful situations, moving house, cars, all the rest of it, you're handling it differently now. And it's because you're living this new understanding. How does that land for you guys?
Yeah, it does. It really does. Thank you both for sharing, Pete, for opening up and, being vulnerable about your situation and just expressing and just letting it go and having the opportunity to just let it breathe, right? I think that's what we're here for, is just to let things breathe. And Steve, thank you for sharing that as well. And like, one question, I love your journey, like how you started, but then you fell back into a pattern, but then you came back, and then now you're seeing it differently years down the road. What, a few years or whatnot, but you've really taken on the journey and have like almost embodied it. Like, I guess one question that comes up for me with your story is that, like, what have you been doing recently to kind of enhance that for yourself in a way that kind of feels more natural, right? Because I think it's that opportunity to kind of talk about it. But for you, what is that like for you in the situation? Because it feels like you're expanding more. You're putting the books down, but you're doing something else for it.
Well, when I was first introduced to this, they talked about being in the conversation, and I probably dipped in and out of the conversation, and it wasn't consistent, I suppose. But the course we've been doing provides regular opportunities to be involved in the right conversation, and I think that's it. And because of being involved in that conversation on a more regular basis, the insights that I've been having have been more regular and more easily implemented into my life. Because at the end of the day, it's an effortless implementation as well. It's just that knowing what the truth is behind all these human experiences. And that's the difference, is being in the conversation, being in these conversations, and having the opportunity to talk about it, hear other people's stories of how it's helped them, and very practical things like Pete was talking about. You realize how you handle situations differently, how they don't land so heavily as they used to.
It sounds like
Yeah.
you're putting pieces of the puzzle around you to kind of keep your foundation steady, keep
Yeah.
yourself growing and building. That's what I'm kind of hearing from you. That's important.
Did that answer
Yeah.
your question? Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
So
Yeah. 100%. Thank you. Appreciate that.
thank you. Thank you for
I
asking.
mean, no, knowledge is really, really important, guys, isn't it? You know, like if you, I don't know, let me think of an analogy. I'll use a car again because I just do. But like you're driving a car and you know that there's, there might be like a problem with your car, right? One of your tires is got a puncture or I don't know, it's a slow puncture or something. And you're driving around and your steering gets a little bit more difficult. You know straight away that's because of the tire, because you know the tire's got a slow puncture, so you know you're going to have to inflate it again. So you steer. Otherwise, if you didn't know that, then the car's broken. There's something really wrong. The steering mechanism's gone. I've got to take it to a garage. I've got to. As soon as you know if you know something, and then you can apply it to a situation, that changes the situation completely. So that's a very kind of simple example, right? But when you know how your mind works
Mm.
and you know that when something happens, like your car breaks down or the roof gets damaged on your house or whatever, you know that like the way you feel about that, whether you feel stressed and anxious about it, or whether you feel like, ah, it's just a game, who cares? It's all about the way you think about it. Because somebody else in let's say my situation with the house can get totally stressed out by it, totally sleepless nights. And I know people who would, absolutely would, friends of mine who would. And then I also know other people who they wouldn't care. It's like, who cares? It's just a roof. It doesn't matter, you know? But the situation with the roof is still the same. That hasn't changed. It's just two people having two very different reactions to it. In which case, then, which one's the right reaction? And the truth is, there is no right or wrong. It's just the way you think about it, the way you react to it. So that's the analogy of the punctured tire kind of thing. You know it's a punctured tire. I know it's the way my mind's working. And just the fact that you know it, you can then choose to react however you want to react. You could choose to react totally stressed out, but when you know that you're doing that, the roof isn't doing that. Roof is just being a roof, and roofs get damaged sometimes. But the way you react to it, that creates your reality, you know. So when you can choose, and when you do know that it's just your mind, then over time, I think you can get to a point where you choose to react differently. Now, in my example recently, I didn't even choose to react differently. After a while, it's like going to the gym. You just build a muscle so that something kicks in to almost this voice kicks in saying, so, so what? For almost any, now, I'm not talking like nobody's died recently or anything. So I know there are things that are going to be for people out there that are massively impactful and maybe saying, oh, yeah, well, you're just talking about a car on a roof. Fine. But aren't these the things that apply most of the time? Those little things. Sure, when there's a massive emotional turmoil in your life, you have to process that and go through it. I accept that. But let's face it, 90% of the things that get us down are small things that we can really choose how to react. So I would just say, for folks out there, like if you like we did, like we got together and we learned how to the real mechanism of the mind, and what control we have over it. Um, you can build a muscle so that over time you just, I don't know, you're not able to get annoyed about things, and by the way, just one that, and also on the flip side, when things go really well, like I'm going on holiday next week and I'm excited by it, but I'm not giddy about it like I used to be either. It's like, yeah, that's also part of the game. Going on holiday and sitting in the sun for a while, part of the game, I'm not manic because I used to, look forward to going on vacation, right? And be like, oh, it's going to be amazing. And I'd get there and it'd be like, that's okay. And then I'd be a bit disappointed because the sun lounges weren't the right size or it was too busy or the food wasn't great or whatever, right? But now it's like, no, this is just what I'm doing next week. It's a fun thing and I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not giddy about it because that's just as much a game as a broken roof, you know? Sorry, I went off on one there, but it's the more I think about it, the more it's like, yeah, it actually makes sense. A good way to look at things as they happen, you know?
There, there's something to be said about how you're handling it right now because you're light about it. You're open about it. You understand that it is just a roof. It isn't somebody who's passed. Like that's different, but like
Yeah.
you're in a place where you can accept that, and it goes back to what Steve was saying, right? It's what are you talking about? What are you experiencing in your life? How do you get to that point where you understand that it is a roof, and even if it does fall through, somebody's going to want a house again that's going to come up that might fit your property better. That might look at the roof and go, listen, guys, it's just a roof. I love this house. This is mine. This is for me. And, that might pass and go, that's what maybe needs to happen, but that's not how you're in a position where you just want to be over it and move on, right? You want to be into your new place. You want to get to your new location. And like those things can happen, but, maybe that person is coming for you to take your house and not worry about the roof because a roof is fixable even to the next person,
Right.
right? And we all can have that moment of just having, okay, it is just a roof, but how do you look at it? That person doesn't want to fix your roof, but you're kind of like, I want to get to my next location because I'm ready. But it's building the pieces around us, the foundation, to handle that it is just the roof.
Yeah. But
And
this, you still have this desire, this burning desire inside that this voice is still there that says, I wish it wasn't like this. I
right,
wish I could just sell the house and the roof wasn't broken. I wish it was different. But the fact is, it isn't. It is just reality being itself. You have no, I have, there's no, like, the roof is completely disconnected from me.
mhm,
Like I didn't go up there and damage the roof. I didn't buy the house that had a damaged roof. I did, but can't your mind get you into a place where it's like, why me? Why did this happen to me? And nothing happened to you. Something
yeah.
just happened. That's it.
Yeah, there could be
You
an
know?
opposite effect too. Like if you're in a position where you need to move, you could take that completely different. Like you're in that position, like it's a hardship. Like,
Yeah.
can I take this like
Yeah.
to a different position, a different place? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. It's like important, like that we kind of build that resistance to it, or not resistance, that muscle, that foundation, like you had said. Yeah.
And that's what, and these things, as they occur, when they happen,
Mm.
it's almost like going to the gym. It's an opportunity to train.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. It's an opportunity to train the muscle and learn from it.
And I think it's important to recognise like the process that creates the excitement for something positive like a holiday in the future
Yeah.
is the same process that creates the situation with a negative situation.
Yeah.
Exactly the same process. And as you've alluded to, it's how you think about that situation.
Yeah. How you see it, how you view
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Because that holiday thing, because you think sometimes it's all about, the things that we're aware of now, typically how the mind think works is applicable to when things go bad or when things don't go the way you want them to. There's no good or bad. It's just your expectations, right? Um, but it's so applicable to fun thing. I used to go on holiday for a week, and halfway through, and I'd have a great time. Halfway through the holiday, I'd be dreading the end of the holiday because it's not going to be there anymore. So
Mhm.
then the problem became a lack of what was making me happy. But that would actually destroy the happiness in the moment. And I'd be sitting there saying, oh, 2 more days to go, and then I'm back on a plane home. Oh, 1 more day to go now, the last day. Oh, it's the last day now. Eating into the holiday itself, not happy because it's coming to an end. So the same is true of quote good experiences as well as bad. To just like a bad roof or a holiday in Spain, ex exactly the same thing. Same thing. There is no difference really.
That,
You labeled one good and labeled one bad,
yeah,
but that's just you.
that's interesting. Like, yeah, like, right, because it's we do that. We go, I have 7 days to have fun. And it starts to
Yeah.
count down and tick, right? And we're going, okay, we got 2 days left. I got to go back. Okay, I get up. Oh, I'm back on a plane. but then we missed out on that whole experience.
Yeah.
It's forgotten or dismissed or, just not cherished in a way that we could be present with it. And that's
Yeah.
like, it's hard to fathom, but we do it because we're trained. We're in a position that we've taught ourselves that we are going this direction. What am I looking for here? I think you guys can help me out here because we don't do it on purpose, right? We
Right.
don't do that type of learning experience throughout life because that's how we want to live. Like I think in general we all want to be happy, but we see that moment of that ticking clock of our vacation. It goes, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's about, again, just external circumstances driving our feelings about things. So that this holiday, I have this holiday now for a week. It's mine. I have this holiday. It's my possession. I have it. I don't want to compromise it. It's got to be the best that it can possibly be. And then it doesn't turn out to be just as good as you thought it was, or it's really good, and now it's going to come to an end. Either way, it's like you're being driven by an external situation, the expectations of a nice sunbed in Spain kind of thing, when now I don't know, there's just more, it's more, instead of these kind of peaks and troughs about the trough of like, a broken house and the peak of going on holiday, kind of levels out. It's still positive and negative, of course, but it's definitely leveled out more now. So it's like, it's a roof. It's a holiday, you know? And I'm happy by one and I'm less happy about another. But am I ecstatic about one and miserable about another? No. No, I'm not. I'm not that kind of disparate between the two now. It's leveling out a little bit and it feels better. It's less bumpy. you know? I actually like it. I like the fact that I'm not giddy about the holiday. Usually I'm checking out the hotel, I'm checking out, no, you know what? Let's just show up and see how it is. No, let's just show up. Usually I'm packing, like I'm leaving on Wednesday. I'd be starting to pack now, probably. I've only got 6 days to go. I'm like, no, I'll pack the night before. It's fine. And I don't know. If that feels better for me, it's just less, I don't know. Yeah, less bumpy.
So
That
are you,
highlights the importance of the present moment, doesn't it? You've talked about presence all the way through,
yeah,
and being in that present moment, whether
Yeah.
you're enjoying your holiday rather than projecting into the future and anticipating what it's going to be like when you come home. You can enjoy the moment while you're there, even in the negative situation, dealing
Yeah.
with your roof or your car. If you can get into the present moment, just what can I actually do about it right now? What's the one thing that I can do to make progress on that and deal with it?
yeah,
And the moment is very small. So it's only ever small things that you can do, and we can all achieve small things. And
yeah,
we talked the other week about the accumulation and the compound effect of making those small changes, dealing with those small things.
yeah,
And we can all deal with it small chunks at a time.
yeah. There's something about that, right? That small chunks. It's really interesting because presence, like it comes down to being here. And like I all of a sudden, like this is gonna kind of take us off topic a minute, but my presence was just distracted by a spot on my screen, which I thought was on my wall. And I'm looking at my wall, and I just kind of like drifted from the presence of the conversation because I thought I had something on my wall, but it's really on my screen, and it distracted me. And it was kind of a moment where you were talking like pure presence, but sometimes we can drift from the conversation or whatever our present moment is accidentally. And we
Because
don't
we're
always
human.
do it. What's that? What's that?
Because we're very human.
Yeah, we drift away and it's just
Yeah.
something we don't, but those moments can really affect life sometimes, people around us,
Yeah.
situations, and sometimes we don't mean to do that, but it happens and it's never really the intent to do that, but it just drifts. But I don't know where I was going with that, but I just wanted to bring it back to presence because Steve, you're talking so deeply about presence, and I was distracted, and I felt bad because I was like, man, this is where I want to live, is the present moment. This is how I want to live my life, and sometimes we do end up disappearing from the conversation unintentionally because we have a lot of going on in our lives, and it's never, a situation we want to have, but it happens. And that's where we have to be easy on ourselves. And I just want to let, well, I got the floor, but I just like want to say real quick, like Pete, you said something about possessing the present or the past. When you're on vacation, we're possessing that moment and trying to keep it as ours, right? And when we think of it like a possession and it's
Yeah,
gone, we try to hold on to that moment, and that possession doesn't exist, right? And that's part of
right.
where we live, and like what happens in the past, that's still a possession. We bring that forward, and that's our vacation, right? We want to live there for as long as we possibly can, but we can't because we're thinking about leaving, knowing that we have to leave, and it's a repetitive cycle, right? But that possession no longer exists, and it's just one of those things that we just kind of we want to be forever, but we can't because we have 2 days and we're counting down to leaving because we don't want to go home. And that
Yeah.
comes back to being present with Steve in his conversation and what he was saying, like, right? And just being there. The spot on the wall didn't matter. Steve, you mean a lot to me. And like, for me to drift is like, I didn't mean to drift, but you're so spot on when you talk about the presence of everything that exists with us. It's what we have right now. That is our possession, even though it's fleeting.
It's just funny. I'm just laughing listening to you recount that.
Yeah.
It sounds insane. It
Yeah.
sounds like an insane way to live.
Yeah.
Owning the present moment that you can't possibly because it doesn't really even exist, uh, and wanting to keep hold of it when you know full well that you can't. And it's like it's almost insane, but that's how everybody lives. That's the human condition. Even for us, it's the human condition. But I do want to note though, when you were talking about being distracted by the spot, the difference, Aaron, is that unlike the majority of people, I think really, is that you talk to us about that. You knew it happened.
Yeah.
That coming back to our knowledge, right? You actually knew that that happened, and you
Yeah.
recounted it and shared it with us.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you knew it happened
Yeah.
is is different, right? Most people, myself included, until not so long ago, wouldn't even recognize that. It's just you go out, you come back, and that's just what life is. But when you know that that's happening, makes a difference, makes a huge difference, life-changing difference, actually.
That's like if you say like even in the conversation with somebody, Steve, like and I drifted and like that's a hard thing to say to somebody, and I could have taken ownership over that a couple days ago and like but like that's one of those things where it's like we drift and we kind of want to come back and just say, I drifted away from the conversation. I didn't mean to, and I apologize, can you repeat that? And and sometimes, it affects people in ways that, don't you don't mean to.
Yeah. Now it could be that Steve is just a boring guy.
Come on, come on.
I don't think he is. No, with
Yeah.
his bass guitar on stage and stuff, but like, yeah. But like as you say, Steve, it's human condition, right?
Yeah, and it's up to us how we interpret things like that. I wouldn't have noticed if he hadn't said,
Yeah.
but sometimes we take things personally, and there's no need to take things personally. Nobody intends that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's this kind of taking ownership, right? Is that when you take something personally, you take ownership for that. Whether it's a comment or a look or whatever, it's like right now that's yours. You own that.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
true.
yeah, and then these thoughts come in. It's like, right, you own this. This is yours. This was an external situation that caused this. Nothing to do with you and the way you perceive it. Because again, the same comment can be given to two different people and they react completely differently. One might laugh and one might cry.
Yeah.
So then it can't be the comment then, right? Because it's got to be what's inside. So taking things personally, which I still do a lot.
Mhm.
Um, I know most of the time anyway, when it happens, it's like, that's my that's my little internal program giving me that. Nothing to do with what the person said or what the person did or the look they gave me. It actually really isn't. It's about how I've reacted to it. Um,
True.
and the same thing with situations like holidays and roofs and all. It's all about the way you react inside to it, and you can choose
Yeah.
how you do that. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
not easy. It's not easy, and like you do have to build the muscle to do it. And but speaking from folks like us who have known this for a while now and have been, trying to practice it, um, that's why I wanted to bring this up is that like it's one of the few occasions where something kicked in automatically this time. I didn't choose to like, that's a negative situation, but it's not the situation that's causing it. It's my thinking. I'm going to like not trust that thinking.
Yeah.
That I used to go through that, right? That's working. You're at the gym then, right? And then with these situations, it's almost like I was confused. Why am I not more sad about this? And
Yeah.
angry, disappointed. Where's the negativity? Where's that? And it was weird. It just wasn't there. And that's like looking in the mirror of the muscles kind of thing, Yeah, the gym works,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, some of those moments are kind of important. Some of them we can drift and come back, and some of them you can see it. And like that's the exercise, that's the muscle, that's recognizing it and seeing that, there's still work to be done. But those moments when we start to overthink, that's when we drift out of the conversation further. As I tend to do that, and then I start to overthink and then I drift out of the conversation when I was just thinking about something that was happening. And then I brought myself back to the conversation. And those are the harder parts of life, I think, is when we start to get into that overthinking side of it.
Yeah.
It drifts us, it takes us out of it now gives us a little bit of I want to say like an insecurity to come back into the conversation. Is this going to offend or hurt? Or you know what I mean? Am I too worried about my roof to actually for the next sale to come through?
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Yeah.
one of those moments where we kind of got to see that, we overthink, but it's okay
Yeah.
to ask that question.
Because the mind loves to grab onto things to think about, doesn't it? So one thing can happen. I don't know, somebody giving you a comment that you didn't like. So you didn't like that. So you think about it. And then you think about the thought of that. So why is it? Oh, it's because they're probably true. I am probably too fat, for example.
Yeah.
And I'm too fat because I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy because the way I was brought up and I wasn't brought up very well. And I'm not a great person. And what's the point anyway? And I might as well just give in and just from one comment, you can spiral down within seconds because the mind loves to grab hold of things. So it doesn't just grab hold of the first thought you have, it then attaches itself to every subsequent thought you had as a result of that and pulls you down it's like a vortex that pulls you down unless you the knowledge again of like, I know what's going on here. This is just a mechanism. It's just a program that's running. It doesn't mean anything. And it genuinely doesn't. Like that's so liberating when you realize that it genuinely doesn't. And it's hard to believe it's because we so believe these thoughts that we have that roof is doing it to me. It's not fair. And it's totally not. It's like, oh, now I have to spend 20,000 to fix the roof. I don't have 20,000. I'm gonna have to borrow money. I'm not gonna be able to pay it back. I'm gonna go out of debt. I'm gonna be debt. Can't pay the mortgage. Can't pay the house. Whoa, you're talking about a few tiles here, guy. What are you
Sure.
talking about? But you can spiral so quickly because that's the way the mind works. It's an engine, you know, and um, and it's
Hey, Pete.
99% of the time it's just not true.
That was interesting on how you took that. Was that part like because that can be the experience, right? 20,000. Oh my gosh, I don't have it. Oh my gosh, it's just a tile. Oh my gosh, that's just a roof. Oh my God, like there that can take hold. And that
Oh
was
yeah,
that was like it felt real there, what you just experienced and expressed to us that was a live moment that you may have had. And you went, oh my goodness, like I'm going on vacation. Like I just want to enjoy my vacation. Like I just spent money on vacation. Like those things come into play, right? Those things kind of
did
like
did.
stack, right?
Yep, it did. It
Mhm.
did. But
Yeah,
with that knowledge, you can imagine like an animation of I'm just picturing now like a tornado
yeah,
blowing itself out, just blowing itself out, and it's
yeah,
gone. That's how it feels now. It's like I can feel the tornado. It's like, oh shit, 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 bad, bad, bad. I'm never going to sell a house. Why am I going on vacation? I can't really afford to. Blah, blah, blah. And then it just, hang on, it's just
Oh,
wind, and it just dissipates and it's
yeah,
gone. And then you're left with a situation. Yeah, there is a situation,
yeah,
but there's no tornado being generated because of it, because you don't need to. Like you said, Aaron, like you just deal with it the next thing. Oh, Steve, I think you said you just deal with the next thing you have to do. So I've got to get someone to come look at the roof now. Fine, I'll do that. That's all I need to do, nothing else. I don't have to feel anything about it. I don't have to get wound up about it. Um, so it's just, yeah, it was just interesting the way
yeah,
it's kind of kicked in this
yeah.
time.
But it seems like that muscle, that understanding, that help, being able to drop out of it and see that space between really helps you kind of implement that opportunity to,
Space between, Aaron. Well done, man. Appreciate
and
it.
we're able to kind of come back and just um, have that
We've got to get it in.
opportunity.
We have to get it in every podcast, guys, right? Everyone.
We have to. Yeah, it's just one of those moments where it's that muscle, that practice. It's like anything else, that weightlifting, that writing, your journaling, whatever brings you ease to help you, come back to realizing that, right now in this moment, you don't have control over it, and you're just able to come back to your presence, come back home, and just be in that moment of that space.
Yeah,
And that's the practice I think that we're all trying to have here, and just live peacefully, lovingly, compassionately, filled with gratitude, those types of things. And moments like that, really, really show us where we can thrive or shrink.
yeah, yeah. And it does start with the knowledge, on the gym analogy. You need to know that you have to go to the gym and do that. And if you do that, you will build muscle. It's just the way nature works. It works that way for everyone. But if you don't know that, then you can sit in front of Netflix hoping to get muscle, and you're not going to, so knowledge is really important. And I'm conscious that we can sit here and talk about, how we don't take things too seriously and stuff, but you know, it's far from perfect, but work in progress. But it all started with just knowing how it works, knowing how that a puncture in your tire will affect your steering. Just something as simple as that. When you know it, then everything changes. So if we can, accomplish anything by folks listening in, is just, you're not going to wake up one morning and think, nothing bothers me anymore, because I don't. But I know how, I kind of know how it works now. I know the ingredients, like I know it. So because I know it, just like the tire, I can't take a bad steering too seriously anymore, because I know it's just a little hole in a tire. When you know this, the way the mind really works, then all these things they don't seem to, for me anyway, don't seem to impact me as much as they used to. Guys, maybe we should do one podcast. We should just do a session on what we've learned about the mind and the way it works. That might be an interesting thing for folks to hear from us. Because it's changed my life completely. It's
Yeah.
not changed my roof yet, but it's changed my life.
It's strengthening, right? It's getting stronger.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Anything else, guys, you want to add, Steve? Anything you want to add to this? It's a
No,
really interesting topic, this one. Could talk about this for ages.
I think that's the thing. Every topic we get into, it could spin into another episode or another hour of conversation. But at some point, we've got to wrap things up.
I know, I know, I know. I just like we're just getting into it, but I'm conscious that we don't want to give people like 2 hour podcasts either. But we can continue this on another episode as well. But I think for folks listening, and for us as well, I think I think we've said it a few times, but you know, like knowing like the real world that you experience, good or bad, is all about how you define it in your own thoughts. That's it. There literally is no good or bad. And when you take it to the extreme, someone in your family passing away versus you stubbing your toe on a chair is there's honestly there's no difference there either. Of course, you're going to feel differently about it, but the mechanism why you feel it is actually the same. It's just degrees, you know. And can you get to a point where you don't feel the passing of someone? No, and you shouldn't. But can you get to a point where you stub your toe on a chair and you hit the chair because it's the chair's fault? No, it's not. And is it your fault? No. Like there's nobody's fault. It's just reality being reality and your perception, your virtual headset and what you see, which is not the same as what anybody else would see. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's so liberating to feel that. So yeah, maybe we do a session, guys, on just getting into that in a bit more detail. Like, how does this engine work? Because
Yeah.
it's fascinating.
It's letting that thought of the roof breathe, right? Letting it have a moment to kind of just exist with it.
Yeah,
That's kind of this episode too. Just letting, you need a breather after you work out. You need
yeah,
rest after you play
yeah.
guitar or
That
bass
that
for hours. You need
that
to breathe.
that thought and that emotion have every right to be there, but no right to stay there.
Because it's not possessed, right?
You know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys. Well, look, we just burnt through 30, 35 minutes there. So wow, again, amazing. Um, guys listening in, if we have lots of ideas for topics we could do with this series, but if you're listening in and you have something that you want us to talk through on one of these sessions, then just put a comment into YouTube or social or something, and we'll get it scheduled in because we love talking about this stuff. And so yeah, please feel free to share and obviously do what you can to help us to promote the podcast because it's getting some really good traction now, and we're getting examples of folks who are getting benefit from it and want to help, want to work with us to help with some of their life situations. So that's all we can hope for here. So guys, anything else you want to add before we sign off this week?
Just thank you guys.
Amazing. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.